All of a sudden, in my peripheral vision along the golden pavement, I looked and I saw these beautiful colors, and I looked and they were flowers. I have never on the earth, and believe me, I've loved flowers since I was a little boy. I used to plant flowers all over the yard. I would go out and find wild flowers and wait till I got the seeds off of them. I'd come back and put them in Daddy's flower gardens, and I'd plant those weeds in his flower gardens, and they'd come up, and Dad would say, well, now what are those doing in there? And I'd say, well, I planted them, Dad. And he says, those are weeds. I said, but Daddy, they'll bear pretty flowers. Leave them alone, please. No, I don't want a weed garden in my flower gardens. I said, but Daddy, they got pretty colors. He says, they're wild, they're weeds. I don't want them in my flower garden. So I have loved flowers since I was a child. As a teenager, in my early teens, growing up in Arizona, in the hot August time of the year, you don't see many flowers out on the area that we lived in, Paradise Valley, north of Phoenix, out in the ranch country. It's just a lot of sagebrush and desert sands, and the poor saguaro cactus are shriveling up and the ribs are sticking way out, and the barrel cactus look like a puny shrunken up sponge in the August hot sun. But I had to find some flowers one day. In the service that day, the presence of the Lord was so sweet. And I said, Jesus, I want to find some flowers I've never seen before. And around the house we had one of these magnifying glasses like this that you have a handle on it. We used to take and put it up to the sun and burn paper with it. You know, kids will do crazy things like that. It's a miracle we didn't burn the house down. But I took that magnifying glass and I went out away from the house into a dry wash. And I went up alongside the bank of the wash where the sand had swept up and was along there. And I got down on my hands and knees and elbows, and I got that magnifying glass, and I started looking at the sand. Guess what I found? I found little flowers that were no bigger around than a pencil lead. You know what I mean? The lead inside the wood. I found flowers in the desert in August, and I was so happy. And they were beautiful little flowers. I went home telling everybody about finding these flowers with a magnifying glass. My brothers, they weren't enthralled at all. They, okay, you know. Well, I love flowers. And if you have a love for something here on the earth, when you get into heaven, you will be drawn to the perfection of beauty of what that is. Do you believe that? You really will. And so I was drawn to these flowers. And I'm looking at them, and I'm saying, I didn't say it in my mouth. I didn't have to speak anything. I said it in my mind. No verbalization was needed. In my thoughts, I said, you are so beautiful. I have never seen such colors and such beautiful flowers and perfect, and oh, your fragrance is just sweet as sweet can be. And I no more than thought that. And on the stems of these flowers where the leaves come out, all of a sudden the leaves started doing this on the stems. All over on those flowers, the leaves were clapping their hands. The faces of those flowers turned away from me and turned another direction, and I heard the sweetest singing coming out of those flowers. They burst forth what I wanted to burst forth of gratitude in watching the white raiment. They literally broke loose into the sweetest singing. And I can tell you the words they sang. I'll never forget them. The words were, I'd love to sing it like them, but I don't have the voice. I'd sound like a bullfrog in heaven if I tried to sing it right now. My voice is too deep. But they were singing this song. All praise, all glory, and all honor and thanksgiving to the Father for creating us and counting us worthy to serve the redeemed. And as they sang the song, their words turned into like prismatic light. And the prismatic light, I followed it with my eyes. I could watch the light moving. And the light was moving, and I watched it with my eyes and followed it as it went up to this hill. And then as I looked, over this hill was coming the most beautiful glow. All of heaven where I was had a glow, but that had an extra glow. And instantly when I saw that glow, I knew that it was the throne that I was looking at. I didn't see the throne, it was on the other side, but I was seeing the radiation from the throne. And the light that emanated from those flowers as they sang went to the throne. And I was made to understand that all of God's creation, that all of life, when it gives honor and glory, thanksgiving and praise back to the Father for creating it, it is reciprocating from the cycle of life. And it is regenerated in that manner. Because as the river of life flows from beneath the throne, so does the essence of all life flow from the throne. So when you give thanks, you are literally being regenerated. You are being recharged. And everything in heaven is regenerated continually in the presence of His glory. So you see the perfection of beauty.